Stevens followers and listeners. Today, I have a wonderful guest who's named Tiffany Stevens. She is quite a wonder in and of herself. She is a professional athlete playing softball with the women's pro fast pitch league. She played in college and is also currently a physical therapy student. Is that correct for your doctoral candidate?
Yes, at Bowling Green State University.
That is amazing. And balancing that while also being a professional athlete is incredible. Just thank you so much for joining us today. We are going to kick it off with everybody's favorite interview question. Go ahead and just tell me and the listeners about yourself in about 20 to 30 seconds.
Yeah, so thank you for having me. My name is Tiffany Stevens, and I am a professional softball player and a Doctorate of Physical Therapy student. And I graduated from the University of Akron, and I played softball there for 5 years, and I got my bachelor's degree in exercise science. And I'm hoping to graduate in August from BGSU with my Doctorate of Physical Therapy, and then hopefully go back and play pro softball either in the United States or overseas. And then a fun fact about me is that I absolutely love roller coasters, and I love to go to Cedar Point.
I love roller coasters too. That is such a fun fact about yourself. So I appreciate you sharing all of that. Okay, so you really quick, you mentioned Cedar Point, right? And you mentioned Akron and now Bowling Green.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you from originally?
I'm actually from Toledo, Ohio, and I'm still living in Toledo, Ohio.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I have a fondness for Ohio. My best friend is born and raised just outside of Akron in Talmadge. And so I'm actually supposed to, well, I'm trying to go back in May for birthday, but Ohio's a very special place to me. So that is awesome. I love hearing that. Okay, so this very tenacious journey that you're on that is so inspiring obviously involves some level of confidence in yourself. Have you always been a confident individual?
I was always not a confident person, and I'm actually still working on my confidence every day. I think I've gained confidence throughout the years, especially being an athlete, and I have a great support system. My family, my mom and dad, especially, and my grandma and grandpa, they are my biggest supporters, and they really believe in me when I didn't believe in myself. So just having that support system kind of helps me increase my confidence. Um, and then just like growing up, like the more you try and succeed, the more confident you become. But you got to be willing to try. And so, like, I still get nervous and anxious. Like, right now, like, this is one of the ways that I can work on my confidence, like, with public speaking and interviews. And I still get nervous and anxious, but the difference is that I just do it. And so, the more that you do it, the more confident you'll become.
That is really great mindset to have, and it's really part of the reason why I enjoy sharing the message and started Exercise Confidence. One of the sentiments here is that confidence is like a muscle, and in order to grow it, you have to exercise it and stretch it. And just like you mentioned, you kind of have to just pick yourself up and go, even if maybe you don't feel as 100% confident as you want. You touched on your family life, and you also touched on how you've been taking these steps in different ways to just grow your own self confidence. Growing up, did you have somebody that was really nurturing in feeding into you and telling you to believe in yourself, or that they believed in you? Or was that something you kind of had to build for yourself as you were growing up?
I would say definitely my dad, because he's kind of like my softball coach too, and like my hitting coach. Also my mom too. So really, just my mom and dad. Like to this day, like they're my best friends. Like I am personally, I'm an only child, and like we go to Cedar Point all the time together. So just like growing up with them and them always giving me the confidence in myself, kind of made my confidence stronger for me.
Those are such wonderful memories that you were able to share. And are they both pretty confident people?
I would say so. Yeah, like from the outside, they do. They look very confident. And I think if you have those role models in your life that are confident, especially like being somebody close to you, like your parents or your family, you could kind of try to follow in their footsteps too.
Yeah, that is a great point. And I know that you're able to share your own role models that you've been fortunate enough to grow up with. But the way I found you is you're also putting your own journey out there on social media. And so, in turn, you're also a role model for other, especially young women that want to become professional softball players. How does that play into the way that you navigate life and how you work on yourself as you're intentionally putting yourself out there, whether you want to be the role model or not?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one thing is I started sharing my journey on social media just as a way to like inspire the young girls, that might look up to me, and then it's kind of like a full circle moment. Like when I was a little girl, I would always look up to the professional softball players and the college athletes, and then like now I am one, and so it's just really cool to kind of give back to them, but also like sharing my journey and like keeping my family and friends updated too. So like it's just kind of an all around, it worked out.
Growing up, who was your biggest inspiration as a professional or collegiate softball player? Who was your favorite one to look up to?
There was a ton of them. Oh gosh, I can't really
You can
think.
say a few. You can say a
Yeah,
few.
I was gonna say I really looked. She was a shortstop. It was Sis Bates, and like
Oh
she
yeah.
still plays now. I kind of looked up to her, and then like Jenny Finch, like the pitcher. I remember
Uh-huh.
reading an article about her where she talked about her dad, and so that just kind of really resonated with me. So yeah, I'd say a couple of those.
I was mentioning to you before we pressed record here that I also grew up playing softball. So mentioning Jenny Finch, I'm like, yes, another Jenny Topping was for me. This might be a couple years before though, even though they played on the same Olympic team. And Lisa Fernandez, like those were my people
Yes.
to look up to, and it's always so wonderful to be able to have those people that you look up to, and then understand that you're in a position to also be able to do that and be that other person that the next generation gets to look up to, um, and realizing that you're in that position. For you, when did you realize that you were at a point where it made sense to you to kind of start sharing your journey? Because I know that you kind of talked about how you gained the confidence to do it, but was there ever like a defining moment for you where you were like, "Oh, I've got eyes on me and I can start, sharing this with others so that they can feel inspired or have someone to look up to?"
I would say probably not until after college is when I really started like sharing my softball videos on social media. Because part of that was like during college, I wanted to just focus on softball. I didn't really want to, put videos out there. I didn't want to take time away from playing softball and working at my game. But then once you get into like the professional leagues, there's different leagues and they have different media coverage. So like the WPF, it was just starting up like back like after COVID, and we didn't really have much media coverage. And then coming back and going to DPT school, I there was no like softball coverage or anything like that. I'm like, you know what? Softball's still a part of me. I should probably put that out there and share that. And then in turn, I was like, okay, I'm starting to inspire these young girls. I'm gonna keep doing it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that sentiment because it's something that I think is it's very helpful and it's very important, when it comes to sharing a confidence journey or just sharing anything. Sometimes we don't necessarily see what it is that we want, but we can make it for ourselves, right? You were mentioning how the media markets weren't exactly picking up on women's fast pitch professionally, the way that they're starting to, and the way that we know they should continue to, because this is a very worthwhile sport to make sure continues to pop off and people have access to watching. But being able to create that space, right? When you started to enter into this, or at any point in your life, whether it was kind of creating the space with sharing your journey or transitioning from high school to college or college to professional, did you ever have those moments where you maybe questioned what the next steps look like or question your abilities at all?
I did. I think I did. But then I kind of flipped the mindset. So like you get those thoughts of like self-doubt or anything like that, but then you just kind of shift your mindset to a positive one. So it's like, what if it does work out? and you can't worry about what other people think, because you might have people that might not like you or respect you, but at the end of the day, it's for you too.
Talking about shifting your mindset, do you have any kind of mantras or anything that you come back to whenever you can feel that doubt creeping in and you know you need to do that mind shift switch?
Yes, so I have a couple of them. One of them is control what you can control. So you cannot control the outcome, you cannot control what other people think about you, and you cannot control whether you fail or not. But you can control how you respond to failure. You can either let it crumble you, or you can let it build you. And then another one that I like to go back to is doubt kills. I just recently discovered this one. It's doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. And that one really resonated with me, because it's true. If I would have never applied to the DPT program, I wouldn't be sitting here today. And if I would have never put my name out there to go to a professional softball tryout, I wouldn't be a professional softball player. So you just, at the end of the day, you just have to be willing to go to the tryout, apply for the program, swing the bat. You just have to be willing to go for it.
Those are both such great sentiments, and I want to take a minute to try to touch on both of them if I don't
Yeah.
forget to come back to one. But the first one that you mentioned, and you're not able to control the outcome, right? And you can control yourself. You can control how you respond to failure. Do you have an example of a moment where maybe the outcome wasn't exactly what you wanted, but the way that you controlled your response helped how the situation ultimately played out?
Yeah. So in softball, you like a slump. Okay. So if you're in a slump, and so like personally, I was in a slump. I was just swinging at everything. I was not being it was bad. But you just keep swinging. So a lot of times people get in a slump, they try to change their swing, or they try to like fix every little detail, and you can really overthink it. Whereas with me, my coaches and my dad, they just keep swinging. Just keep swinging. You're going to hit your way out of it. So that was probably
Hmm.
a point where I thought, okay, your mindset truly does matter when you have to overcome failure.
Hit your way out of it is such a great one, especially for people that play in sports that require some kind of swinging. I know there's like many, not just softball.
Yeah, just keep swinging. And it's just
Yeah,
like the Finding Nemo with Dory. Just keep swimming. It's just keep swinging.
that's awesome. I know I like take little notes during the episodes because my guests,
Yeah.
I'm so fortunate, say such great things that I always want to make sure I circle back to.
Yeah.
Um, and also the sentiment that doubt kills more dreams than failure ever does. It's such a good one. And I even forgot about it. I know I've heard it before, but hearing you say it again is just really inspiring. Um, for myself and for the listeners, can you explain to us kind of what your journey was like? And I'm going to ask for kind of a long timeline here, so feel free to talk about it however you want. But basically, deciding from, when you're in high school, you have the decision of, okay, for most of us that are athletes in our younger years, right? Am I going to keep trying to pursue this at a higher level, whatever that looks like, whether it's college or professional, and thereon? Can you kind of share your journey with us of what that looked like from high school to college and then college to professional? Because I know those
Yeah.
are very distinct timelines in your life and distinct choices, but I would just love to hear what that was like for you.
Yes. So I would say probably before high school, so probably eighth grade, even like during travel ball, I knew that I wanted to play at the next level. I had a gut feeling. I just knew it. People would talk to us, and they would say, this is what it takes to be at the next level. And I would just lock in, and I can picture myself sitting there in those huddles and saying, you know what? I'm going to do it. I've got this. And so then I think it was that moment on, then through high school, where I just I put my head down and I went to work. Like there was days where I would get done with team practice and I would be out in the backyard hitting with my dad. Like there was days where you have to practice on your own and also with the team if you want to get better. And so there was a lot of sacrifices too, like, you know, people going out and hanging out with their friends. Like I sacrificed that. There was days where I still would do that, but most of the other days I was practicing, or I was at the batting cages, or I was getting better at my weightlifting or conditioning versus going out and having fun. And so just part of that just really shaped me. And then through high school, then I would say about probably junior year is when, sophomore, junior year is when college coaches, then at that time, like the recruiting process is different every year, but at that time it was more like into contact with college coaches and travel ball. And so that's when it kind of like gave me confidence too, that, oh, they are looking at me. And so, and then once you get you're recruited, or you get a verbal commit, then you get more confidence. And so just part of that, knowing that you put in the work, it's paying off, keep going, like why stop here? And so then you get to college, and then it kind of resets almost. So you're all recruited, you're all on the line, go show them what you got, because now you're fighting for a starting spot. You got to college, now you're fighting for your spot. And so throughout college, then you're still working hard, practicing. There would be days where my dad would come to the facility, and after practice, we would hit and stay extra in the batting cages after weightlifting. And then we would go out to dinner at Texas Roadhouse. So, but it just goes to show that you have to be willing to put in the extra work if you want to make it. And then through college, then into professional softball, I realized, okay, I'm going to take this to the next level even further. And so then that's when I went to the professional softball tryout. I tried out, made the team. Now I'm here. I'm still working. I'm still working in the off season now, because I still want to go up back and play. And I know that that's what it's going to take for me to go shine on the field.
And you were talking about you went to a tryout to be someone that is eligible and has eyes on them to get into this professional team. Can you tell us a little bit more about that specifically, what that process was like? And, you know, I'm assuming obviously if you're going to a tryout, then you're not in a position where, you were already drafted out of college or anything. And again, it takes another layer of confidence and believing yourself to even put your name out there, whether this tryout was a selection to even get to the tryout, or if it was an open call and you're just like, I got to give it everything. So let us hear more about that.
Yes. So it was the summer after I took my 5th year at Akron. And so it was that summer where they were holding open tryouts for the WPF in Florida at the Jackie Robinson Training Complex, Vero Beach, Florida. And so I thought, okay, this is my chance to go play professional softball. We go down there to the tryout. I try out. And then I get the phone call on the way home that I ended up making one of the teams.
Wow.
And so, yeah, so it was really exciting to just feel like you made it. You were once looking up to those girls, and now you are one of them.
Yes, that is so exciting. I actually got chills when you
Yeah.
said you got your call. I can't even imagine what that feels like.
Yeah.
And so what position do you play and what spot do you hit in the lineup?
Center field. I play center field, but I can play any position in the outfield, really. And then in the lineup, it fluctuates. Like there would be days where I'd hit lead off, and then there'd be other days where I'd bat third, seventh. It just depended on the day, really.
Nice. And what's your favorite thing? What about center field just called to Tiff and made you feel like you're at home out there?
You feel like you are the captain of the field. Like the shortstop is like the captain of the infield, center field is like the captain of the outfield. And so you're involved in almost every play. You can see the whole field. You're able to go in the gap and run balls down and dive. It's just a great feeling knowing that you're in center field and you hold it on lockdown.
Tell a little bit more about what team you're currently with. I'll do a plug later, like where people can catch you and all that. But what team are you currently with, and is there anything outside of yourself that is currently inspiring you as you are on this team, be it a coach, a teammate?
So right now, currently, I'm actually not on a team right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was, let's see, go back. So DPT school started August of 2024. That summer of 2024, I was with the Coastal Bend Tidal Wave of the WPF. And while that was going on, I was actually like doing schoolwork during summer to get ready for DPT school. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I was living a double life. Double
Yeah,
life.
that's crazy. Like that is the commitment and the mental load and just all of that is astounding.
Yes. And so that was that. And then now, since I'm in DPT school for these 2 years, I'm actually not with the team right now. And
Okay.
so my plan is to either go, I might have to try out again for the United States teams, or go and play overseas with France or Germany or any of those teams. So
Fair.
right now it's currently like up in the air of which avenue I want to go. I'm leaning more towards the overseas because I do want to travel the world and see the world. Um, but yeah, my biggest priority right now is just staying in softball shape, just hitting on my own and fielding and stuff, but also passing and graduating DPT school because I've put so much time and effort into it and taking time off of softball, and I really want it to pay off.
I have no doubt it will. You're very, as I mentioned at the top of this episode, a very tenacious individual. And okay, honestly, I was sitting here when we were talking before this episode and looking over the resume of you and just being like, how in the world are you traveling with a professional team while doing DPT school? I understand taking that time
Yeah.
and being able to really dedicate to one. Um, when you had to make that decision, what was that like for you? Being able to reconcile that for yourself and realizing that school was going to need a little bit more of your undivided attention. Kind of like you mentioned earlier, that softball needed your undivided attention when you were in school. So you weren't making the videos yet. You were giving it your all there. Now taking the time to make sure that you're giving it your all in your doctoral degree.
Yes. So it honestly, it's really hard, like mentally, because everything nowadays is on social media, and like you see your teammates or people that you've played with still playing professional softball, and it's like, I want to do that. Like, I want to do that now. I want to go on the field now. But I know that school has to come first right now. This is my career. This is going to set me up for life. And I just need to lock in right now for school and take the time I need. And then if I choose to then put that off and then have that as like my second career and then go back and play pro softball. But it's been kind of a mental challenge too. Like there's days where I've cried. But then I just think to myself how far I've come and my why, and just keep on going.
I appreciate you being so candid and sharing, there's days that you cry. I can absolutely empathize and identify with that. Whether it was when I was still in school, my job now, some days, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
But just that candid mention of emotion. And now that you're from what I'm assuming, your outlet, right? Softball is a physical outlet for you. Would I be safe in assuming that?
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
now that it's not such a part of your inherent day-to-day life because of the shift, as you've mentioned, how do you find a way to still have an outlet for those emotions that we all inevitably face in our daily lives?
So I definitely still try to do things that I love. So in the summer, we love to fish a lot. So fishing is actually a big part of my hobbies, and along with Cedar Point. And so in the summer a lot, I try to go to Cedar Point, go fishing with my family, but then also still working out, like lifting weights, sprinting, going and playing catch with my dad, and going on the field when we can and taking some fly ball reps and still hitting. So I'm still practicing softball. It's just now it's on my own, which has been tough. I mean, it's tough you can't simulate a game just by
Right.
hitting front toss or live pitching. Like, you're still, like, you're missing out a little bit.
It's just so wonderful to hear like the different outlets that you're able to have between still keeping your skills up, whether it's getting out there and taking some balls on the field or at the plate, and then with fishing as well. As somebody who has put themselves in many different arenas where your abilities and your self worth can come under a lot of pressure and a lot of weight, be it academically or physically. How are you able to separate your self worth from your measurable performance, whether that's on the field or in the classroom?
Yeah, so growing up, I I think I just kind of always wanted to be perfect. I was what you would call a perfectionist. And I would always hear my mom and hear my dad saying, "You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect." And it's easier said than done. And so
Mhm.
I think as I'm getting older, I'm starting to realize, like, I don't have to be perfect. I've made it. I can just go out there and play. And like that goes with anything, like with school, with sports, wherever you're at in your level of play, you've made it. You are there for a reason. God put you there for a reason, so why doubt his plan? And so just having that positive mindset and thinking, okay, I'm here for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. Just go out there and play. You have nothing to lose. You're there.
Really having the confidence in where you are at for whatever reason or moment of time, I think is something that is definitely hard, but it's also worth it, you know? And so when you have those moments where you're trying to stay mentally strong, do you have any things that help you? I know you kind of mentioned your faith and allowing that to be an anchor, but you're also in many competitive environments, right? Like it is competitive to get into doctor of physical therapy school. It is competitive to try to go out there and become a professional athlete. It is competitive to stay on those teams or get back into them. Is there something that really helps you stay mentally strong in these arenas where there can be a lot of comparison and competition?
Yes. So something that I like to do is just think about all the good things that you've done. So like for softball, think about all of the diving plays you've made or the home runs or line shots you've hit, and just know that you've done this before, you can do it again. And then same thing with school. You're there for a reason. You got into the program. Now just finish it. You don't have to be perfect. I mean, for DPT school, I mean, we all came from, maybe getting A's and B's, and like that was like the norm. But like now it's hard. Like grad school is hard. So, and being a law student and all that, it's hard. So like just going out there and just leaving it on the field, all in the classroom, and just passing. Just be at peace with passing. And I think that's something that in the beginning of the program I kind of struggled with a lot. We all did, where we were trying to get like A's and B's, and like you cry when you fail a test. But now it's like, okay, I just need to pass. We're all here. We're all going to make it. We're just going to pass.
I can absolutely identify with that. As you mentioned, with my background when I was in law school, I would try to be like very strong, and my now husband, who has been with me for many years from undergrad through to law school and beyond. When I first started, right, I was in the similar boat. I was very much a type A student. I was very much, and again, that's what it is. It's like the best of the best. Everybody coming in has high scores to get into your program. Everybody has a high GPA. Everybody's very capable. And in undergrad, I was a solo studier. I didn't really have a lot of other uh, classmates who were also on the same teams with me. We didn't have a lot of overlap there. So my teammates were my friends. I didn't really make many friends in my classes. I was fine with it. But getting to law school is really different. And I remember the first day of school already feeling overwhelmed. I went to school out of town, so I wasn't living near as close to my friends and family as I had been before. I remember calling him crying, and he was
Yeah.
just like, "Oh, I bet you those nice girls you told me you met the other weekend at the mixer probably feel the same way. Why don't you reach out? Why don't you see how they're feeling?" And I was so reluctant to, but eventually did. Long story short, these are not some of my best friends in the entire world,
Oh,
to the
yeah.
point where they were like my maid of honors, my bridesmaids in our wedding, my favorite people in the world. But I talk about that to ask you, do you have that kind of community, at least within academia? I know that you've mentioned your familial community when it comes to sports and softball and how fortunate you've been to have that. And I know that you kind of have it inherently built in, at least from my experience when it comes to sports, right? You have your coaches, you have especially if sometimes you have a specialized coach, right? If you're a pitcher or a catcher, you have those ones. You have a batting coach.
Yep.
Do you have anything in your world with academia, or have you been able to kind of create that kind of community for yourself? And have you found it to be important or not, at least for yourself?
I think it's definitely important. That's actually funny that you mentioned that because it's kind of like trauma bonding is what
Yes,
one of
definitely.
my friends would call it. Yeah. And so we all have like a group chat, and then we all have like our, close friends group chat. And so we're staying connected. Even now, like during clinicals when we're all apart, because it's a hybrid DPT program. So
Oh,
we have people from like all over the like United States that are in the BGSU program, which is really cool. It's a great program, but you only see each other maybe like once every other month for a week. And so our last time we seen each other, it's was before we started clinicals, and so now we don't see each other until graduation, until August. So it's really important to still stay connected over the phone or over Zoom and just really share that community, because you are all in the same boat. You're all going through the same things. When you might be feeling overwhelmed or like you can't do this anymore, they're probably feeling the same way. And so just talking to your friends and your classmates is just really helpful to find that community. And then also they're called coaches, but they're professors. So each of us, there's like 60 of us in the program. And so I think it's like one coach for every 10 kids. And so we all have like a coach that we can go to if we need to ask questions or we need any support or anything like that. So that's been really helpful to have that support and resources if we do need it.
that's awesome. I love that those resources are there. I like that you've also found a way to kind of cultivate your own resources that you're able to rely on. If anybody listening is somebody who has trouble maybe reaching out or asking for that support or looking towards and building that community, do you have any words of encouragement that might help somebody be able to kind of take that first step in finding their community or reaching out for the help that they might need?
Yeah, so I think just kind of like putting yourself in the other person's shoes, like it can be hard sometimes to like make that first step or that first move. But one of the quotes that I always go back to is, if you want a friend, be a friend.
Oh,
So
I
like,
love.
yeah, like they might be shy just like you, but like you never know until you take the first step. And maybe that's what they need. They need somebody to take that first step that you might think that you need. So just kind of like reaching out and being yourself is so important, especially nowadays. Like, comparison is the thief of joy. That's also another one that I've been seeing. And so it's truly just important to be yourself and be unique, because you never know who you could help or inspire.
I have always had to come back to that one. And I think that the more I revisit it, the more it helps me to keep comparison away, because it is so easy to fall into that. And kind of like going hand in hand with something you said earlier and with the sentiment. So, comparison is the thief of joy. And I think that with the day and age we live in and how accessible everything is, and how easy we can fall into comparing ourselves to somebody else's highlight reel, right? Which I feel like social media is. If you think back to any one specific moment that maybe stands out to you as a part of your own highlight reel that you come back to when you think of some of the wonderful things that you've been able to achieve when you believed in yourself, is there any one or one of your top moments that you'd like to share that your belief in yourself led to?
Yeah, so it's actually making it to professional softball, like as a whole. I think that was just one of my biggest accomplishments because you think of professional softball, you think of like big name schools, and like big name players, but like me, like a small town kid from Toledo, Ohio, making it to the professional league is just insane to me. And just so making it to the professional level, I think was just a defining moment where my confidence is like really improved, I think. And then also being able to become a physical therapist while being a professional athlete is also something that is just, I think, very unique. And it just kind of gives me that belief in my heart that I can do anything I set my mind to.
You were talking about the journey that you've been on and how it's gotten you to be a professional athlete. And I think that you have the unique experience of being a female athlete at a time where there are a lot more eyes starting to be put on what I think has always deserved a lot of attention and a lot of eyes. Can you share your experience as you have it in more recent years and right now of being a female athlete in this time where we are seeing the much needed shift towards supporting female players, and what that's been like for you as we're seeing this movement towards more funding, more media attention, and all of that put on women's athletics?
Yeah, I think we're definitely making progress, but I think there's definitely still more that can be done. But I just try to remind myself we can't control it. All we can do is just do our best and, you know, play sports. And if they don't do it, then, I mean, what can we do? But at the end of the day, you just have to keep putting yourself out there, being an inspiration, and just being hopeful. I think just we can't lose hope. I think, you know.
Yeah, I think hope is something that's really strong too. And I appreciate hearing you say, we can't lose hope. And I think that's definitely a term that I would kind of use in this time that I've been getting to know you and to describe you, because I think that you're somebody that just sees a lot of possibility in yourself and for yourself and potential, right? And so you've talked about how, yes, of course, you have this incredible career that allows you to be a professional athlete, but you've also chosen to ensure that you have another degree for your future and your career down the road. Was there anything specific that really brought you towards pursuing your doctorate in physical therapy? Was that kind of always what you wanted to do in terms of a career, or was there something that really spurred you on to wanting to pursue that specifically?
So I think I wanted to do something in healthcare, but I didn't want to lose sports because that's been a part of me my whole life and I still wanted to incorporate that into my career. And so I basically took healthcare and sports and made physical therapy. And so, like exercise science in college, you could choose like personal training, physician assistant, or physical therapy. And so, kind of blending those two together to go and be a physical therapist, I think was just what drew me to it. And then also the fact that, like, going through injuries and why does my knee hurt? Why does my shoulder hurt or my arm? And now it's like part of my career and like what I'm learning is helping me too as an athlete. And so I think that's really cool to just how the body works and how you can get back to your sport, but also doing that for other people now too, as they did for me.
Do you feel like you've been able to have a better physical understanding or approach to your training regimen as you're keeping yourself sharp, to eventually go back to professional softball while you've been studying the body and learning how to kind of heal it when it encounters injury?
Yes, definitely. So there's times where I will be doing my workout and I actually incorporate stuff that I've learned in PT school into my workouts to better help me as a softball player.
That is so cool. That is super awesome. I think about that sometimes even now where I'll be doing any kind of workout and I can feel something and I'm like, huh, I wonder what that is. But I mean, you don't have to wonder. You can give a pretty good
Yeah,
diagnosis to yourself there.
I have a problem with that sometimes. I try self-diagnose myself a lot. And I have to remember it's probably nothing. Yeah.
Gosh, that's fair. I
Yeah.
feel like I would be the same way. I'd probably be like overdoing it and be like, well,
Yep.
it might be this or it could this. Um,
Yes.
I'm sure that that would happen to any of us, but it's really, really wonderful to be able to see the intersection of these two passions of yours, knowing that you wanted to work in a sort of healthcare space, knowing that you didn't want to give up the opportunity to be connected to athletics, um, and now how it's honestly just making you or allowing you to stay as sharp with all of your knowledge as you're getting back to eventually going back to being a professional athlete because we love to speak those positive things into existence here.
Yes.
But kind of going back into obviously being in the public eye, not only as a professional athlete, but with your own journey that you're sharing here on social media. Do you ever find it hard to stay authentic, or is that something that has been a little more inherent to who you are when you're sharing your own journey?
I think it's always just been inherent to me. I try to just be myself, and then it goes back to the not one like trying to be perfect anymore, and just like there's pressure to only show the highlight moments or like only the good pictures. But at the end of the day, like life is too short, so like just post it. Just post whatever you want. It's for you too, like, and then like don't compare. Um, and just be unique and be yourself. And then because that's what makes you you. And there's only one of you. And so if you post your life and you like it, great. If other people don't, that's on them. That who cares?
We get a lot of outside feedback, right? When you're working with a coach as an athlete, when you have your professors grading your exams, when you are getting comments on the things that you post, right? Do you feel that there is any kind of internal feedback that we can positively give ourselves when we engage in something that we find some sort of like physical boost from, right? Like whether it be you going to take a couple hits or taking a walk around the block. Do you think there's any kind of connection? And you can speak from your educational background too, or just your personal experience between some of that like physical activity that we can engage in and how it gives a feedback to us mentally in our abilities of what we can or are capable of achieving.
Yeah, so um one thing is your brain is like a processing center. And so when you experience something and you have no pain or it's good, your brain processes that and it says, it's okay, I'm safe. So you can keep doing it now more. So, like with confidence, we have this thing in PT school, it's called use it or lose it. And so it's with muscle and strengthening. And so use it or lose it. So if you don't work the muscle, you're gonna lose it. You're not gonna get stronger. If you use it, it's gonna work and it's gonna get stronger. So just like confidence, use it or lose it. So if you're not exercising confidence, you're gonna slowly decrease that confidence. So just kind of being aware and trying like one thing each day that scares you or maybe you're anxious about or you don't really know how it's going to go, just do it.
I appreciate the connection that you made to our
Yeah.
tagline here at Exercise Confidence. I wasn't even going for that, but obviously it touches my heart that you were able to make that connection with your own experience and especially your knowledge from DPT school. And I really, as we're wrapping up here, I have just a couple more questions, but is there any specific message that you hope people are able to take away when they listen to your interview here today and listen to your story that you've shared with us?
Yeah, just kind of just taking one day at a time, not letting the little things upset you. That's something that I am working on to this day. And that you don't have to have it all figured out to go after your goals. You just have to start. And so confidence is built over time. And you just have to keep showing up and believing in yourself. Working hard, having that positive mindset, and trusting in the Lord, and it can get you far in school, sports, and life. So just keep going is what I would say. Just keep going and never give up, because you never know what can happen.
You do never know what could happen. You could have some random lady message you on Instagram to be on her podcast one day.
Exactly. You never know.
My last question that I have for you, and it's one that I ask all of our listeners to wrap up their time here at Exercise Confidence, is what one piece of advice would you offer to our listeners to help them exercise confidence in their daily lives?
I would say just do one thing each day that makes you a little bit anxious. Whether that's doing a podcast, whether that's trying a new exercise or a new movement, or whether that's studying a new topic for school. Do one thing that challenges you, and scares you a little bit, because at the end of the day, then you're going to come out on top with more experience. It's not going to be as scary anymore.
I love that. And I appreciate so much that you shared that with us and with the listeners. Okay, so you mentioned that you're going to be graduating from your Doctor of Physical Therapy school this summer, correct?
Yes, August.
Okay, and then do you have any kind of timeline, or is there a timeline that is best suited for you to get back out there and transition back into professional softball? What does that look like?
I think their season starts in March overseas. I'm not 100% sure, but I know it's definitely like after December, I think. So I have some more months to prepare.
Sounds good. Okay,
Yeah.
and then is there anything else that you would like to say? Sometimes, depending on what arena of life some of my guests work in, I allow them to plug anything coming up, whether it's upcoming events that they might be promoting or work or anything like that. I know that you, obviously, having been a professional softball player with women's professional fast pitch, we can obviously plug that. But anything else that you would like to just let our listeners know about, where they can find you, how they can keep up with your journey, or anything like that?
I post on my Instagram, Tiffany Stevens _. That's where I post kind of all my life updates and my journey and stuff like that. And then yeah, just graduation in August and hopefully returning back to the field.
Oh, well, we love it. We wish you all the best, Tiff. I have no doubt that tenacious spirit in you is just going to continue to open the correct, the right, and the best doors for you. Listeners, we will link her Instagram information in this episode description, so that way you can follow and stay up to date with and stay inspired by Tiff.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.